All right, today we're going to talk about the 5 things that you probably missed during Major League Baseball's opening series. It was in Japan. You were probably sleeping, but I was watching, so you didn't have to. And there are 5 important things that you need to know about, and we're going to touch on them right now. All right, so this Major League Baseball series was played to start the season. It was in Tokyo, Japan. Cubs, Dodgers. Tokyo, Japan, the Tokyo Dome. They've played games there in the past, but let's talk about exactly what happened, what you missed. The important thing to know is that the games were held at about 6 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you were up like me, you got to watch and listen, but everyone else didn't get a chance to. And so I actually have 4 things I want to tell you about, and the 5th one is a bonus. I think you'll find it interesting, especially if you're interested in sports broadcasting, specifically baseball broadcasting. But let's touch on these 5 things that you probably missed from this baseball series. Number 1, the fans in Tokyo were extremely respectful and quiet. It was as if you were watching one of those old video games that used to play on Nintendo. I think it was called, not Bases Loaded. Bases Loaded was another one, but where you had that quiet murmur of a crowd. That's really what it was in Japan. The fans are extremely quiet, except when Ohtani comes up, because they really loved him. Obviously, he hit a home run. That's another thing in Game 2. He did hit a home run, and the Dodgers did sweep the series. That's not really what I'm talking about here, though. But the fans were quiet, respectful, and boring. I thought boring. And it made me appreciate fans in the United States when they're loud, they're boisterous. Obviously, a lot of them are drunk, but they're excited, they're into it. And to me, that made me appreciate that. So that was the first thing that you may not have caught because you probably didn't get a chance to watch or listen to the game, but I did definitely notice that. Number 2, I noticed that one of my pet peeves has spread massively. And we talked about that on an earlier video. One of my broadcasting pet peeves is when a broadcaster speaks in the future tense, when they're describing something that's happening, but they explain it as if it's in the future tense. And it was crazy because it was 6:30 a.m. I've got my coffee, and I spaced it out. I watched some of the game, I listened to some of the game, and I actually switched between Cubs broadcast, Dodgers broadcast to get a feel for the different way the games are broadcast. I like doing that because I've always enjoyed getting a feel for the home markets and the visiting markets of the different teams. But invariably, no matter what I turned on, I had a broadcaster talking in the future tense. And here's what I mean by that. Man on third base, base hit to center field, man comes in to score a run. And the broadcaster says, and the Dodgers will take a 2-run lead. Meanwhile, the man who already touched home plate is in the dugout. He will not do anything. He already did it. Or another one that I heard was a guy lines one to right field, and they'll say, so-and-so will have himself a hit. No, he just had a hit. It already happened. So that was number 2. It seems like broadcasters just can't help themselves from talking in the future tense. Talk in the present tense. That's number 2. All right, let's talk about the 3rd thing that you missed, but I picked up on certainly. It's that Major League Baseball will continue doing these out of town, out of country games at the expense of their own fans. Because let's face it, loyal American baseball fans, by and large, were not able to watch this game. The games were 6 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 a.m. on the West Coast. So American fans just were not able to watch these games. Or maybe they did. Let's say you've got a youngster getting up for school, and they maybe can look at their app. Maybe they can watch a few minutes. But I find that to be very difficult. And sports continue to do it. All the big leagues do it, whether you're talking basketball, football, baseball, hockey. But to me, I feel bad for the American fans who are loyal, who shell out all kinds of money, who are fans, in this case, of the Dodgers and the Cubs, and yet the games are broadcast somewhere else at a time that it's not convenient for them to watch. I think it's great to do the outreach, regardless of where you're playing, whether it's London, it's Tokyo, all these things, that's great. But in my opinion, make those exhibition games so you're not making it where your American fan is losing something. So that's something I noticed also. That's number 3. And number 4, I'm going to say this again. I've said it many times. Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball TV package is so well worth it. It's amazing. I mean, when you think about all the games you get to watch, it's just incredible. These are the kind of things that as a youngster we would have done anything for, to be able to watch all the games, the out-of-town games. And now you're able to when you purchase the MLB app and the MLB package. So it's just fantastic. And then you can also do what I like to do, is listen. When I'm in the car, I like to listen to broadcasts from out of town, from other cities, and hear a feel and a flavor that I don't always get. So while I think the New York Mets broadcast team is as good as there is, I still enjoy listening to out-of-town broadcasters. And so I find that to be very enjoyable. And I don't get anything for it. It's not, I don't have any kind of affiliate link for the Major League Baseball package, but I really think it's worth it. And I've got family members that have it, and I've had it for multiple years. Just seems to be a great way, if you're a baseball fan, to watch all the games at your convenience. And then they've got a lot of archived features as well. So that's just going to be the 4th thing. And here's the bonus. I promised 5. So here's the 5th thing. I'll label it a bonus. The 5th thing that I learned watching these first 2 games, or actually listening to these first 2 games. And I'll say this. As a radio analyst, I was really impressed with Ron Coomer doing his job as a color analyst for the Cubs. I was really impressed. I had never spent any decent time listening to him. I mean, I watched him play when he was on the Red Sox, on the A's, certainly on the Twins. And as an all-star, I mean, he was a solid player. But listening to him this morning on Game 2, I really enjoyed him as a color analyst because he was able to give you some insight. There were a couple times where he talked about how it felt as a player in a certain scenario, but he didn't make it all about himself. And that was one thing that I really enjoyed, the fact that he could give you that expertise, but it wasn't over the top, look at me, it's all about me and my career and I'm so great. It wasn't like that at all. He was there to just fill in, tell you why and how things were happening on the field and what was going through a player's mind, because he, as a former player, he's got such a great depth of experience. And I was impressed. You know, I listened to them all. Not all, but I listened to a lot of them from around the country. And a lot of them have catchphrases and shtick, and they're trying to be the center of attention, and they've got cliches that they use, and they're just, you know, cookie cutter in many ways, because they try to have attitude. And Ron Coomer stood out to me because he didn't do those things. Tell me in the comments if you disagree, but I really thought he did a fine job as a radio analyst. Now, I know it's just the beginning of the season, but these are 5 things that I enjoyed. If you happen to watch or listen to any of the first 2 games, let me know what you thought, whether it was on TV or on radio, and let me know what you're looking forward to the most for this baseball season 2025. So those are the 5 things that I picked up. Thanks for being here, and until next time, so long.